So what I'd like to talk about today is CPQ for Dynamics 365 for sales. I also will talk about our solution in detail, and you'll also learn we have more capabilities than just CPQ, the ability to do contract management and deal rooms, what are a way to share content in a much more engaging manner. And I'll talk through that as we go through things. I'm going to start off with several slides, and then we'll jump over to a demo. Just to introduce myself, my name is Eyal Orgil. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at DealHub. First of all, for those that may not know, what is CPQ? CPQ meaning configure, price, quote, the ability to go and configure the right products and the right services that you need based off of what a customer is requiring, putting the right pricing together with that. So there could be different pricing for the same product, or obviously products will have different pricing. You may have different rules, different issues that you have, whether you're selling through partners, whether you're selling through different ways you're packaging your products. And finally, the ability to put that all together into a nice document, into a proposal. So CPQ will cover all that different aspect that's required. What does make up a CPQ as a solution is the ability then to do that product and pricing configurator. Certain products are very simple to put together. It's simply a product with an option or just a product on its own. Others will require a lot more details, have a lot of validations involved in it, certain things that have prerequisites and dependencies on that. So the configurator is a key part of the CPQ. Guided selling is a method of taking a salesperson through the process. Obviously, what we want to do is ease the process for the salesperson. So we want the ability to walk them through a way to go and put the right products together, the right options together. And we'll be talking and seeing these things as well in the demonstration today. Along with any kind of configuration that you do, obviously there may need to be approvals. You may be putting things together that are not standard. You may be given special discounts. You may be changing contract terms, and that all has to go through an approval process. And then finally, to generate that document as well. And there could be different formats for a document. A document could be just a one-page, give me the pricing, let me know line by line, or it could be a very detailed proposal where you want to go through and put a lot of information onto that, solution overviews or other things like that that you want to describe in detail. When are customers considering CPQ? There's actually a number of different reasons. Sometimes you have multiple reasons. Sometimes it's just one of these reasons. Oftentimes they'll talk about streamlining a sales process, which is kind of a general term, but you just want to make things work a lot smoother. You know, you've been working on Excels, you've been using homegrown solutions. They're not all connected back into the CRM, or they're not connected to other services. There's no flow around it, no direction. So you want to streamline that process. Obviously, simplifying things like the sizing or configuration of a product, depending on what kind of product you're selling, that's important. It could come also to things like the renewals. If you're selling services, whether these are software services or other kinds of professional services, things that renew, that can involve a lot of complexities because people are changing things as they're going through. You say you do a contract for a year, you're adding things, you're removing things, you have to renew that. Where are you keeping track of those things? How do you do that that proposal to the customer when you do that renewal? Obviously, things like also adhering to pricing and legal policy. So that could be what kind of discounts are you allowed to give? It could be what kind of terms you're allowed to give, maybe from a legal or even financial. So can I give 60-day payment terms? Sometimes salespeople just go and do their own thing. Obviously, I'm a salesperson. We're trying to close our deals, and we need to have sometimes some guardrails around things to make sure that we're adhering to specific things. And also standardizing proposals is really a big one. It's amazing how many organizations the salesperson just does their own thing. Some do PowerPoint, some do Word, some put it out in an Excel. Some like to take the logo of the company that's been spent millions of dollars on and just stretch it a little bit because it looks a little bit better to them when they change the format of it a little bit. So obviously organizations are very key to provide a very unified professional look. And it's important to have that standardized proposal, whether it's on the look or whether it's even just how you're presenting your products and your pricing to your customers. And I do apologize for some of the background noise here on my side. Ultimately, organizations are also looking to drive bigger deals or accelerate their deal process. So obviously by using a tool where I can recommend things to salespeople, you can get some bigger deals, you can get more options included on things. And sometimes it's just to drive things a lot faster. We talked to many organizations where it can take the salesperson easily hours or even a day to put together a proposal where you put the right CPQ in place, and you could be talking down to minutes or at least no more than hours, but typically even minutes to go and put things together. So it really can help speed up the sales process for an organization. I just want to touch on CLM because it is something that's part of our solution as well. CLM, for those not familiar with the term, contract lifecycle management, or let me just call it in short, contract management. The idea when you're putting out a proposal, you also have a contract many times that goes along with that, of course, depending on what kind of products and services you're selling. Where DealHub can come in is to dynamically generate the right contract. So when I'm selling into different countries, I'm selling to different kinds of vertical markets, education, federal government, or federal or local government, or different things, education, manufacturing. They may have different terms and conditions that need to be included in that. You may have to present the document in a different way. So DealHub can dynamically generate that. Having a clause library is really key as well. You want salespeople to have some flexibility to make changes, but you have to put some controls around that so they can't just type anything that they want. So you have a library that's where automatically, if at best, you're going to have those terms and conditions pulled in from. Obviously, we're familiar when we put out a contract to anybody, somebody wants to make some changes along the way. So we need some method to manage redlining, whether we can do it online or whether we just have the ability to capture in a document that's been amended, and we want to put that back into our proposal. So we want to append also documents, and sometimes it's using the customer's paper as well. So they've got their contract, and we need to bring that back into the process with our proposal. Obviously, key today is e-signatures. DealHub actually provides its own, or we integrate with DocuSign as well. So you want to make sure that you can sign off on an agreement at the end of the process. And you also want the ability to have, where can we keep that contract at the end of the process? So where can we store it? Where are we able to go search for that contract, or search for certain contracts that contain certain information? So it's also a key part of contract management. So just a bit now into DealHub itself. We deal with organizations of all kinds of different sizes, different vertical markets, and different industries. So from technologies to manufacturing. So you got companies you'll be familiar, obviously, with companies such as HP. Anybody in the sales world will know companies like Gong that sell recording solutions and record and transcribe sessions. We've got security companies, we've got services companies, we've got disposal companies, we've got a whole host of different companies. Typically, DealHub works across the world. We have customers from North America, Europe, and we do have some customers down in Australia. I think even New Zealand, we do have some customers. I'm not sure if you'll be familiar with an organization called G2, very popular in North America. It's basically a peer review site. If anybody wants to take a look at that, it's g2.com. Not that I'm promoting them, just to indicate that it's a site where people go in and basically provide reviews of the solutions that they're working with. For the last 4 years, we've been the highest rated CPQ over there. They also come up with a list once a year of the top 50 products for sales organizations, so tools that sales organizations use, and DealHub has actually been there for the last 2 years as well. So very well recognized when it comes specifically to the CPQ industry. A few slides about the solution itself, and then I'll jump into the demo, which will probably be a lot more interesting. DealHub is a configured solution. We don't do any coding whatsoever in the solution, which gives it a lot of additional value. One is it can be up and implemented very, very quickly. Typically, we talk about weeks to put it up. So 4 to 8 weeks is what a typical project is probably going to run. CPQs will often be in the months. You'll be looking at 6 months and more sometimes to do that. And obviously, some projects do take a bit longer, but DealHub has the ability to implement very, very quickly because it's a configured solution, so that we do train our customers on doing everything. So once we have helped with the initial implementation, they're able to go and maintain everything on their own. We really tried to make a solution that's designed for the business people. And that was part of the thinking with the configured solution, so that the business people can keep pace with any changes that are required. It doesn't require any special programming skills to learn it. One thing that's also very unique is, I talked earlier about guided selling, and we're going to see how DealHub's guided selling works. We came out with a method, what we refer to as a playbook, which basically allows a salesperson to simply walk through a series of questions that are presented to them. These are all built together with the sales organization, so that we can put together a list of questions, think of it almost like a decision tree that a salesperson is going to work through, always being presented the next relevant questions. And these are all questions that have been, sorry about this noise again. These are all questions that have been set up together with the sales organization. So we actually bring in the sales organization to help us build out the right flow for the salespeople. So when they come to use the solution, first of all, training is very, very quick. We're generally spending, in low hours, an hour or 2 hours to go and train a sales team, as opposed to spending a day or two, because they don't have to learn how to actually build the solution. They just have to know how to work through the solution and in a process that they're already familiar with. So it's a very intuitive way to go through building out a proposal. And lastly, we'll see in a few minutes as well something DealHub calls a DealRoom, which is basically the ability to share content in a web format. So you can provide a much more engaging experience for your end customers, as opposed to just sending out a Word or PDF document. We can now share content in a web format. So about the playbooks a little bit, it is a personalized guided wizard. So it's going to take them through that process question by question. And DealHub will automatically configure all of the right products and pricing, all of the contract terms, all of the sales or marketing content that needs to be included. So it's all done for the salesperson. They'll simply go through, answer the questions, and DealHub will do the rest of the work for them. Built in as well, as we talked earlier, the approval workflows, so any commercial, legal, or technical approvals that may be required, DealHub will be able to do that. And of course, key thing, everything is synced back to Dynamics at the end of the process, the 365. So we're going to start off in 365 as a salesperson. We're going to come into DealHub, and then we're going to sync all the information back at the end of the process. In fact, all the details that DealHub generates goes back into 365. So whether you want to just do some analysis in the CRM itself and reports, or you want to take it into Power BI or other solutions, you're able to take a whole host of data and utilize that information to go analyze what's happened in the proposal process. When it comes to the content sharing, and also I'll talk about in a moment what the tracking is about, we have the ability to generate any kind of content, so in a Word or PDF format, and that could be quotes, proposals, contracts, order forms, whatever it is that the customer refers to, insertion orders, whatever industry they're in, we're able to go generate the right type of document. We can put any kind of collateral around that, and we have the ability, if it's relevant, to have multi-language support as well. So we do have customers today that sell globally, and they'll have a different language document going out into the different countries that they sell. The deal room is what you're seeing off to the right here. That's the ability, as I mentioned, to share content in a web format. Essentially, what DealHub creates is a micro website. It's personalized. It's sent out to the customer from the opportunity. It's unique to the opportunities. So any changes that you want to make, you can actually change it, and the customer will continue to receive the same link and have all the information that they want. And that could then include rich content like videos, even sales presentations, various information. DealHub provides online forms in the deal room, which is great if you want to capture customer information, even things like billing or shipping information if it's relevant. We can sign off electronically right on the deal room. And the tracking is the idea that we can actually see the customer's engagement. We can see what they're looking at, what they're interested in, where they're spending their time. We're actually right now providing information on a lot of different actions that they're doing, and where we're taking it is to heat map the page. So we'll actually be able to understand where they were spending their time, what was of most interest to them, really giving you the buyer intent details that you would want to see. So with that, I'm going to jump over to the demo, and we'll take a look at things live. If there are any questions, I'm okay with if people want to jump in at the beginning, or more than happy, we'll have time at the end, and we can definitely talk about things. If we have to come back to anything, we can do it at that time as well. So I've come into an opportunity screen in 365, and basically all that we're changing is a couple buttons that we see at the top over here. So we can see new quote to go and generate a DealHub quote, or we see view all quotes where we can go in and take a look at all the proposals that we've already built. Whether we want to go back to a proposal and make a change to it, or we stopped along the way, we didn't finish it, now we want to go back and complete the proposal. So that's what view quotes is going to allow us to do. Once we click on new quote, I'm going to show it opening up in a new tab, but there's also the ability to have it in a pop-up window, and we'll go into the DealHub environment, and this is what we're seeing now in front of us. DealHub will automatically read in the relevant information, such as the account, the opportunity, the currency, the geography. I never know why we have currency in US dollars and then selling in Canada, but I'm a Canadian, maybe that's why we put it in there. Someone did it for me. But we're going to read in whatever information is relevant for the opportunity. Now, this can also include other information, such as payment terms that we have agreed with the customer. If it's a partner coming in, what is their partner program? So any other details that we have at the opportunity or the account level, we can pull in that information and utilize that information as part of the flow of how we'll take the salesperson to build out the proposal. Down below here, this is our playbook. This is the guided process. And what we've done today is broken it out into several different logical sections simply to help the salesperson through the process. Now, I'm actually going to work through building out a software SaaS solution, but the playbook works for any kind of industry. It's just a matter of setting the right questions to present to the salesperson. So for example, in my case today, I'm going to select a product. I'm going to select a project that goes with that, some service and support. We're going to make some contractual terms, and we're even going to add some additional materials to go along with our proposal. As I work through the playbook, down at the bottom, we've got what we call our product summary, and the product summary is the place where the salesperson will see their proposal, all the product line items that they've gone and received as part of the proposal are going to present over there. So all we have to do in the playbook is start going through the questions. We can be provided with tool tips along the way as well. So information, as you see here, can be graphical, it can be text-based, but we want to guide the salesperson through the process. And then by picking a certain option, I'm going to be presented with additional relevant questions that I need to complete. So picking enterprise, I've got several new questions. If I go back and pick a standard, I've got a different set of questions that I'm presented. And what DealHub has already gone and done is already started to configure this solution for me. So we can see here we have a couple products that have already been selected for me. Now, in many industries, when you start selling multiple quantities, or in the software industry, you sell for a longer duration, you want the pricing to adjust. Sometimes you adjust the pricing on the discount. DealHub also has the ability in a unique way to go and adjust the list price. So for example, if I were selling 20 units for 3 months, the price is $75 per unit. But if I randomly click up at the top here in my playbook at 430 units, the price has just dropped to $39. Or if I bring that back a little bit, at 240, it's $51. As I mentioned, maybe on duration, especially in software, we get a better price when we sell for a longer period. If I make this a 24-month contract now, we can see the pricing has adjusted itself again. One of the unique things DealHub also has is, I'm not sure if anybody noticed, is while I was adjusting the prices, and I'll make another change, if you watch the product codes or the SKUs, they don't change. This is something we refer to as multi-dimensional pricing. For some organizations, you can't do this. You've got to have a specific unique product per price, and that's fine. DealHub can support it. For others, we can find that you can reduce the number of product codes that you need. We've even had one customer reduce 70%, that's 70% of their SKUs, because they simply had different price books which had the same product code again and again and again, but obviously had to have it in a different price or a different currency. DealHub can eliminate that by simply having one copy of that price, adjusting it for different factors that we have. And of course, we can take into account any currency exchanges as well. So we don't have to have as big of a product catalog just because we have a lot of different price points. Moving over to the project over here, what I want to show here is just the ability how we can put some guardrails in place around things that the salesperson can and can't do. So picking a solution, sorry about this, I got my daughter going to school here. Picking a product called Stay Current, we can see that we're asked how many years do you want this project, and it's say 1 to 3 years. However, if we pick something like an upgrade, it's going to say how many months do you want this project for, and we get a different set of values. And I'll make one more change here, new development. Again, we see it in months, but it's a different set of values. So DealHub can always present the next relevant question and the only valid responses. So as we build out our configuration, we have a valid configuration. Many times CPQs will then require you to go build out a validation engine to go check what was put together, dependencies or things that are limited. DealHub does this as part of the playbook. So the salesperson simply walk through a very intuitive flow as they're moving through the playbook. We can have mandatory questions, so things salespeople must include, of course, any kind of options that you want. We might have special services that you want to go and customize. So professional services, I might want to say special service for April 19th. And that will be the actual description that we'll see that will come out in our proposal in just a few minutes. So we have the ability to go and customize things. If we need to add in other things in our proposal, DealHub can even configure, say, the right resource team that we need over here. So project manager, implementation manager, architect, putting in the right number of hours based off of what we selected. Of course, we always want to provide salespeople with some flexibility, so they might want to add more, in this case, hours, but we also want to limit it so they can't go below. I'm trying to click less than 10 and it's not letting me. So I can go and I can also set all kinds of different thresholds to make sure that we stay within our valid configuration over here. So with that, I'm going to jump over to something a little bit different here on the contract side of things, but just to know, so there's all kinds of different questions that we can ask, and hopefully you can see how we can adjust this to many different kinds of industries, just asking the right questions based off of what you need for your organization, what kind of products and services you're configuring. Now on the contract terms, what I've gone and done here is set up now the section where the salesperson can go and adjust things like payment terms or terms and conditions. I'm going to do something you probably don't normally your organization allow your salespeople to do, but just go change the payment terms on their own. But I'm not actually letting them change it on their own. I'm going to let them know if you do that, you will need the approval of the finance team. And down below, right on the page, we can see we have the finance team and the people that need to approve it. So we got Mark and Dave. It could be one or both of them, depending on how we configure it. And then Fred will need to also be involved in this approval. Now, this is a good place to give an example of how the logic is done in DealHub. These are basically if statements setting up the approval process. So I would say here, if you change the payment terms to anything but 30 days, then I need Mark and Dave and then Fred to approve it. Now we can also make this a little more complex and say, and the deal size is less than $450,000, for example. So we can really set these up very quickly, very easily. And of course, if you have different sales teams, different people in the organization that need to receive it, DealHub can automate that whole process, sending it off to the right people. We do read from Dynamics the hierarchy, or meaning the manager of the person, so we know how to send it to their direct report, or they're the direct report, sorry, to the direct manager as part of that process. Coming back up, obviously things like payment terms you may want to change, terms and conditions. First, let me show an example where I'm not going to let a salesperson do this, obviously, but I do have the ability to do free text changes, so we can come in and do that. Here's where I wouldn't want the salesperson to do it, but I may want my contracts team or my legal team to be able to assist me in this process. And what DealHub has is a unique capability of what we call team collaboration. Up at the top here, I have a button called Share with Colleague, and I simply can go select my legal counsel, for example, which is Fred today, drop Fred a note. Fred will get an email and will be able to come into DealHub and take a look at the playbook, to the unique playbook. I may want to gray out some of the areas because Fred's area is not to build the configuration. He's the legal counsel. I need him to come down and build out the changes that I want in the contract. So he will have access only to that area based off of his role. He'll make the changes to the contract. Once he's done, he'll pass back control to me, and I can get that proposal out to the customer. Now, where I do want salespeople sometimes to have some flexibility, we provide something that here we've called it pre-approved clauses, where certain clauses may pop up automatically saying these are the things that you're entitled to change. For example, in software, maybe I can take off the automatic renewal, or if there's a yearly increase, maybe I'm going to give the salesperson some flexibility to go and adjust that. And these are all dynamic in real time based off of where I'm selling to, what products I'm selling, or any other kind of logic that I want to build out based on my business processes. I can allow the salesperson to change those things. Those could still have an approval process around that. We're not limiting that. It's just a matter of how you want to present it to keep a nice, smooth sales flow. Things that you normally let the salespeople change, you might want to just go ahead and let them change those things. Obviously, if we have an MSA, we can also go change MSA or service agreement or any kind of contract process. We might want to allow them to make some changes into that as well. I'm just about ready to get my quote out to my customer. I just want to do a couple more things. I might want to add in something like a case study, some sort of customer reference. Here's something unique. DealHub can actually become a recommendation engine now and recommend the right content for me. Remember, when we pulled in from the CRM, I knew what territory I'm selling into or what region of the country. I may have read in what vertical market I'm selling into. I know what product I've configured because I'm the CPQ, so I know what's we're offering the customer. So DealHub can also already recommend for me some different case studies that I might want to include, or any other kinds of content. Could be technical content as well. But the idea is to help the salesperson put the right content in front of their customer, and DealHub can recommend that based off of what we're configuring. I'm going to do one last thing as well. I'm going to put a project plan in here, and we've just connected or set up a very simple project plan over here where I might want to come along as a salesperson and select how many milestones that I need. I might want to go and adjust the dates on some of these things. I've also got some content that's been preloaded, but I'm just going to go put in a couple bullet points here just to make a change. And this could also be a place where I want to send it off to another team member to help me. Maybe I have a deployment team that I want to work with, and they'll go and adjust some of these areas. So as you've seen, the playbook can do a lot of different things, from configuring the product, the contract, putting additional content. It's all a matter of setting it up for what you need for your specific organization. And it can work for different processes. For new business, renewal business, you're expanding. You want to work with partners. Partners can come in through a portal, and they can get a different subset of products, and of course the pricing as well, which we'll look at in just a second. But DealHub really has the ability to configure a wide range of different uses as you're going through your sales processes. Down at the bottom here, then I have my product summary. This is simply the salesperson's view. It's not the way I'm going to present it to my customer yet, but it's my worksheet that I can easily go and adjust things like pricing. Now, something else that DealHub has in the background is a lot of different attributes that I can go and configure on the individual lines. Now, these are just my demo environment is just things that I've set up. You can configure any attributes that you want. So if you wanted to calculate your costs or your margins, if I'm selling software, maybe it's our services, start dates and end dates. Here, I've just got some other examples over here for different playbooks that we have, but any attributes that you want at the line level. These attributes can be used to present to the salesperson. Sometimes I want to show them maybe the cost of something and work out the margin. Certain attributes may be different that I want to present to my customer, and there could be attributes that I want to sync back to the CRM as well. Back in the CRM, you'll have processes such as revenue recognition, order fulfillment, obviously invoicing, and there may be additional details that you want at the line level, and DealHub can go and provide that data back into the CRM. So there's a lot of different information that we have in the background, and we don't necessarily have to see it at all times. Now, as a salesperson, I can go along now and start doing some adjustments to the pricing, like I like to be as a creative salesperson. So maybe I want to provide a discount at the line level, or maybe I've already negotiated with the customer. This product is $200,000, and DealHub will automatically lock off that discount for me. We can have what we call dynamic prices, where the salesperson can go and adjust the list price. Obviously, not always something you allow in an organization, but some organizations do allow this, and maybe it just makes sense in certain products like professional services. I can provide an overall discount, or if I know the customer's budget, let's say $300,000, and DealHub will automatically calculate the discounts for me. Now, the discounts have not spread evenly. It's actually, there's a reason for that. We do have some logic in the background over here. The first line, we locked it off because we set it at a net price, so the discount remained consistent at what we set it. But the second line and the bottom three lines, if you'll notice, have a different discount rate. We've gone and set maximum discounts for these products. So whether I've got costs involved because I'm selling hardware systems or third-party systems, or I've got certain margins that we've decided we need on certain products, you can go and set up the logic of what is the maximum discount for products. What is unique as well is that if I'm selling into different territories or different vertical markets where I want to offer a better price, maybe I sell to government at a 15% discount, a top discount on this product, but into education, I need to offer 35%, then you can also set those kind of rules as well. So different products can have, for different use cases, different maximum discounts that can be set on that product. Now I've gone and exceeded my discount allowance, so I've got another approval process over here where I can see Steve, Tim, and Jennifer are going to need to approve this. Now, a couple unique things about the approval process. Approvals can be very complex many times in setting them up. There's a lot of backlog, there's a lot of delays and things like that, and we want to get rid of some of that, those issues that we have. So what DealHub has gone and done is made it possible to configure or customize the email message that goes out to each of these different approvers. So even though Steve, Tim, and Jennifer, for example, are in the same flow, they may have different reasons or different information that they need to receive to accept or reject this proposal. Jennifer may be our CFO, or Chief Financial Officer, and she would like to see the cost and margin of this opportunity, where Tim is the Regional Vice President. What's important to him is seeing the discounts that we had offered on the services or the hardware, and Steve is the Regional Manager, and he'd like to see the entire quote, line by line, what was offered to the customer. So again, they're all part of the same flow, but based off of their role, we'll give them different information so they get exactly what they need so they can quickly approve or reject that proposal. To accept or reject that, it's also very simple. As a minimum, they just need to hit reply to that email message, type the word approved or rejected, and put any comments they would like, and that will be accepted by the system. And we'll see back in Dynamics in a few minutes in real time, we'll update that information. They also have the option to log into DealHub, and they can get a dashboard. They can log in from their desktop or from a mobile web app, and then they go through each proposal one by one, review it, and then they can accept or reject that. DealHub will even send out a reminder email every 24 hours with a summary of quotes that are waiting for anybody still actively in the process of approval, and they can approve right from that email message as well. Some other unique capabilities, obviously, if people are going on holiday, you can delegate. Something else that's involved over here, we call it smart approvals, where if Tim rejected this proposal and everybody else in the bottom group has already accepted it, we don't have to go through all the approvers again. It's simply going to come back to Tim, and we'll continue the process from there, though you can set thresholds if anything else might have changed in the proposal. You want to make sure that we're not just going to send it out again. So not have to go through that approval process again. So we can set those thresholds. So last few things I'm going to show over here. I'm going to go generate the document. Now, typically you would expect that you can have multiple different templates, and that makes sense. In this case, actually, I've got templates for different parts of the document that I want to generate. But in most cases, our customers don't even need to have different templates because DealHub knows how to dynamically generate a document. So we can set up logic again within our document that will change the way the document looks. Now, this could be asking even the questions that the salesperson answered in the playbook that will change the document, such as, do you want a cover page or a cover letter? But maybe it's on other things like discounts. Do you want to show the discounts at the line level, at the quote level, or maybe you don't even want to show discounts? So DealHub can allow the salesperson to enter these kind of details, and then based off of that, we'll generate the document accordingly. So here we've got the document that we just generated. I've included my logo, the name of the customer, the date, and image, whatever you need. Everything starts off as a blank page. You can configure documents any way that you want it. Here I've got my cover letter. The thing that sticks out right away is the watermark over here. That is an option, but it's there because we have an approval process and I don't want the salesperson sending it off till it's approved. And what I've highlighted in red, obviously just for the demo, is to show selections that I made in the playbook or the net price that I calculated, and I can have that automatically merge into the document. So any word, sentence, paragraph, or page, I can have customized, oops, not too far out there, into the document. Maybe I want a solution overview to explain what I've just configured for the customer. Again, all automatically set up so the salesperson doesn't have to go look for information. There's the case study that I selected. There's our pricing. Now here you'll notice the pricing has now been broken out into two tables where I mentioned earlier the salesperson's product summary was just their worksheet. Here I've decided to break out pricing into software and services. I could have broke it out into different options that I wanted to show the customer. So here's your option 1, 2, and 3 of your quote, or maybe I'm selling to different regions in the country and I want to show them here's what each of the different cities is going to receive. So you have many different ways to go and break out the way you want the tables to present. Up at the top, we can see software. I'm showing discounts. Down to the bottom in services. Don't want to get into that discussion, so I've simply left that off. So you can also customize the way the tables look. And we can also see here special service for April 19th. That was a description that I typed in. So we can also customize information within the proposal as well. Moving down, we can see I've broken out some pricing totals. So I've got my software and services broken out. I even went to the extent of running some calculations for the customer to show them what their pricing will be over the next several years. So we can do all kinds of post calculations as well. And if needed, this all can be synced back to Dynamics as well. Jumping to our terms and conditions, first of all, we want to pull in the right terms and conditions. We talked earlier, if I'm selling to different vertical markets, government, education, industry, whatever that may be, I may have different terms and conditions. So I want to pull in the right terms. And then we can see some of the changes that are done. Things like the no automatic renewal, 60-day payment terms were all entered. If by chance you're in an organization that sells globally, sometimes it's important to have the right entity in there. And DealHub can also address that and put the right entity that we're sending out the proposal from. Finally, we have our SOW that we put in. We can see the couple of bullet points that I added. So we can just to show an example how we can format documents in different manners over here. So that would be how you traditionally would send out a document. We can send it out as a Word or as a PDF format. The other option that I did mention is we can send out content in what we refer to as a deal room. And here's an example of a deal room. It's a web page. It's a link that was sent out to the customer either through DealHub's built-in email composer, or the salesperson simply took the link and sent it off to the customer. This page is fully branded to the look and feel of the organization. This example, our customer Gong. And we can see here a lot of different customizations that could happen. So obviously the message or who the salesperson is, we can customize that. We can have different information at different parts of the sales process that'll be presented to the customer, whether these are things that the salesperson selected or whether it's information that was automatically added in based off of the product that we chose. Maybe we want a short video. Early in the process, maybe it's a high-level video discussing our company and what we offer. And later on, as we move through the sales process, we might want to find more detailed information about the services the customer's interested in. Obviously, if we're at the point where it's a quote, we want to put in our pricing. We'll want to put in our terms and conditions. This is where DealHub does have an option as well for online redlining. Not in this example here, but we have the ability to let the customer go and make some changes to the contract. We have online forms where the customer can fill in information, could be billing information, shipping information, whatever is relevant. This information can sync directly back to Dynamics. We can have fields that are custom fields that we can sync back to. We can also place it onto the document. This is the document that we just saw generated a moment ago, and then have that document filled in and ready for e-signature. This is DealHub's e-signature here, or we can have an integration with DocuSign. You'll click on a button saying signed by DocuSign, and the same experience if you're familiar with DocuSign that you would see, you'll get the document to sign. So I was just saying about the signature, we can also sign by DocuSign. DealHub can support single or multi-signers in the process, but on both sides, both on the buyer and the seller side of things. Now, as a salesperson, what I can do to track the engagement of my customer is I have something here called a deal stream, where I can see all the opportunities that I'm working on, and I can see different opportunities at different stages over here. Some are quotes that need to go back and get renewed, but I have different statuses that I can get over here. Now, I'll talk in a moment why we see the word guest sometimes and sometimes the name of the person, but I can see different statuses of when people viewed it, when it was signed off, when they downloaded a copy, so different statuses available. The reason why we saw guests is deal rooms can be sent out in what we call a public mode, where I can send out the link to anybody, but they don't have to identify themselves who they are. I can also send it out in a private mode where I send it only to specific people. Then I obviously do know who they are, and I can decide if they can share it with others. And when they share it with others, I'll be able to identify them as well. So let me just conclude everything. I'm going to jump back to dynamics and just talk about what is synced back over here into the opportunity. Obviously, every quote that we generate is going to have its unique quote over here with all the details that we talked about, all the different products that were generated. Let me go into the product lines. And we'll see all the different things that we quoted. So every line, all the different attributes that were generated, all that's going to be synced back. And for each individual quote, obviously there'll be a separate quote object. Any other fields that you'd like to sync back, the document that we generate also syncs back as well. So any versions of the document that we generate are all going to sync back over here. So basically all the information comes back. We can even sync back all of the inputs that a salesperson provided. So if you want to do some Power BI analysis of how people are quoting, what options they're choosing, and things of that sort, that can all be synced back as well.